Hi, the camera broke, so you are going to have to forgive the quality until I can figure it out and I can stop being sad enough to figure things out. And it was this vicious cycle of him going in there, getting annoyed, exiting, repeat. He was as dry as the stuffing inside an overcooked Thanksgiving turkey. I really tried my best, but the book was also trying its best to piss me off. Yeah, it's like Cinderella and Twilight, where it's cute at first, but if you really squint, it's sort of creepy. Hi guys, I am Colleen and I'm a person. I like to read and I like to write, but I do whatever on this channel. And today, as promised, I'm going to be talking about the books that I've read post-reading slump. I had a reading slump from end of March, I want to say, until September, and in September I started reading again, and I had to sift through a lot of problematic ones and had to DNF quite a lot. I'm not even going to discuss all of the books that I've read, but just the highlights. And yeah, I'm going to try to do a rundown very concisely and quickly, but knowing how I ramble, it probably won't be quick. So yeah, sit tight. Okay, so the first category, the 5 stars, I have 5 books for you guys. The first one is My Roommate is a Vampire, and I think you can guess the premise. She is looking for a dirt cheap room to rent, and this vampire is looking for a roommate, so they become roommates. And I really liked the story, and the dialogue is hilarious. I found that a lot of people had mixed opinions about this book, but I really liked it. The male lead had almost a schoolboy, innocent, giddy crush on the main character, which was so adorable. And I liked it so much to the point where even if it was a closed door romance, I still would have loved it, but it's not. It's an adult romance. Overall, really good. I thought it was really cozy and sweet. But yeah, if I could suggest anything to improve, I would just say that the concluding chapters felt a bit rushed. A number of contributing factors can go into that, from writing to print, I imagine. But yeah, I would have loved if the concluding chapters were a bit longer, just so the side plots and the other smaller storylines could get fleshed out and tied up more thoroughly. Most of the book was focused on the developing romance. That was like the main thing for most of the book. So yeah, it didn't really upset me. I believe that this is a debut for the author, Jenna Levine. I would love a sequel, and I would love to read future works. The second one is When the Time is Right by Ali Martinez and M. Maybe? This is about childhood friends who become lovers, friends to lovers, basically. And I don't know, they're both rich. I thought that this book was really good, really funny. I had to sift through a lot of trash to get to a really good Friends to Lovers. I think this is the first Friends to Lovers that I really, really liked. And I thought that Hudson was such a green flag dreamboat guy. And this is also a single dad trope. And his son, Jack, is probably one of the best kids that I have ever read. Usually there's something that annoys me about. I'm sorry if you have children or if you're fond of children. I like children too. But with like fictional children, sometimes the writing is kind of annoying, or sometimes it doesn't sound like a kid. But there's always something that bugs me about them. I really liked Jack, and the main character's relationship with Jack was really positive, and they were really close, and I really liked that. I'm saying really a lot, and I probably will continue to do that. So let's just... The third one is Funny Feelings by Tara Dewitt. This book is about two comedians. One is a veteran comedian and one is just on the rise. And the pro comedian is managing the main character who is on her way to superstardom. They're friends, sort of, but it's more of a grumpy, sunshiny trope. And it's also a single dad trope. And the male lead's daughter, she's deaf. And I don't know if you would agree with this, but I really liked the treatment. Romance-wise, they were so in love but so confused, which was endearing. They had these situations, but they had different viewpoints about those situations, which caused a lot of confusion, but they figured it out eventually, obviously. I really liked it, and I really liked how big the learning of the ASL was written into the story, and how ASL was used so prominently in their communications with each other. Yeah, I like that she was so involved, even with a kid, and as a stepmom character, she's really a green flag and a positive influence, if that makes sense, on the kid. The fourth one is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. This is a debut, which is so impressive. The writing style is already so clean and so detailed, beautifully written, and the imagery gives off like fall, serene, immaculate vibes. And yeah, it's about a cartoonist and an undertaker and a love story between them. Making the guy an undertaker and the girl a cartoonist was really unique, for me at least. I haven't read anything like that before. The writing style was simple, but the execution was excellent. I thought Callum was such a green flag as a male lead, and although there are spicy scenes in this book, make no mistake, this is first and foremost a love story, and they really were attracted to each other emotionally, and that emotional relationship evolved first before they got into any sort of like physical relationship. Lark, the female lead, I really liked her character. She had imperfections and insecurities, a really layered character and her like imperfections were so relatable. I will be looking forward to more works by Ivy Fairbanks. Last for the 5 stars, Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I think this is the best book that I've read this year, I think, so far. But yeah, I don't see anything topping this. It's about 2 serial killers who fall in love, which is wacky. It is a dark romance, and this might not be for you if you're squeamish. I'm going to warn you, and the author does too. She provides a very detailed list of trigger warnings, and she does emphasize that ambulance. And she does emphasize that this is a dark romance, so, okay, be warned. Although the topics in this book are very grave, the treatment is surprisingly very light and fun, and the main characters, they manage to be like super stinking cute the whole book. Even if you're squeamish, if you can put up with the eyeball plucking and stuff, if you can put up with the chaos, it's totally worth it, and I suggest reading it if you can handle it. Definitely a unique concept If it wasn't already clear, none of the characters are super sane, but I like how they were very accepting of each other's monstrous tendencies, if that makes sense, which is what I really liked about this book. And yeah, give it a read. For the mid non 5-star books, I have In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. I gave this 3 stars. It's about a mogul and a small town. Like, he owns all the businesses in this small town, and they were childhood friends. The girl used to be Miss Popular, and now she's gone back to this small town to inherit a farm from her grandmother. But one of the stipulations is that she has to get married. There were conditions. So yeah, they get married, not because they got close again when she got back. It was sort of like a favor, but he was already pining for her for so long, the whole time that she was gone from the town. As soon as she came back, he was like super in love with her. I thought the male lead, Noah, was very much a dreamboat. The reason that I didn't give this 5 stars is because it was very freaking slow. What started off as excitement tipped into frustration by like 80%, and there still wasn't like honest to God confession from either of them. And yeah, I ran out of patience. Shay, the main character, she was in her head a lot. It was a great illustration of being in a hamster wheel of anxiety. It was relatable, but it got too much toward the end, and it was too relatable, if that makes sense. The next one is The Right Move by Liz Tomford. I gave it 3 stars. This is my first time reading NBA romance. My preferred sport romance has always been baseball, sometimes hockey, but yeah, I've never read basketball. And I have to say, it wasn't bad. I liked Shay and Indy's relationship and how they sort of supported each other so they could both move on from traumatic, horrible past relationships. The main characters, they didn't really go through the song and dance of getting confused, because it's a fake dating trope. So usually the pattern is, does he actually like me, or is he pretending? That sort of internal strife. But with these two, they pretty much both knew at the same time that they were in love. They sort of joke about not being sure, like, is this pretend? And the partner would just like provide reassurance immediately. And I liked that about this book, because they didn't really go through the choreographed dance of, does he like me? Doesn't he like me? Is this fake? Is this not fake? They pretty much knew at which point they stopped pretending. It had a good enough conflict, but the premise is not unique. So if you're looking for a super overly unique thing, this might not be for you. But yeah, it's a chill read. Non-positive comment about it is that the internal monologue could get a bit repetitive, but other than that, it was a good read overall. This is one of the high 3s where it's almost a 4, but it's not. The next one is My Favorite Kidnapper by Melanie Moreland, and I gave this book 2 stars. This book is a cross between Cinderella and Twilight, I feel like, because this poor main character gets kidnapped by a billionaire, basically. She's a baker. She sort of gets swept into this billionaire life because the billionaire has a sweet tooth and wanted her to cook for him every day. Yeah, it's like Cinderella and Twilight, where it's cute at first, but if you really squint and pay attention, it's sort of creepy. And the dialogue is stilted, and the heroine has no sense of self-preservation. The previous book that I mentioned about the serial killers, the characters in that book were less toxic than Dante, which is the male lead in this book. And I sort of couldn't believe it because I read Butcher and Blackbird first and then My Favorite Kidnapper. And it was so weird that he was more toxic than this serial killer. And yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. The conflict for this book is low stakes and was resolved very easily and very quickly. I like the cover though, and I like the blurb too. Runaway Love by Melanie Harlow. This is the second book of hers that I've read. I forgot the title of the first one, but he was a firefighter, I believe. I forgot. But I remember that to be good. And yeah, so I read this one and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and it's about a girl who gets left at the altar, and she was in this sort of toxic, not sort of, she was in a toxic relationship, and after the breakup, the ex-fiance sort of tried to control her. A bunch of circumstances led her to becoming a nanny for this single dad with 2 kids, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's sort of a parallel, and the blurb did say this. It's sort of a parallel to Tessa Bailey's It Happened One Summer. But even though it was that, I found that I liked Ronnie, Veronica, and Austin better because they had really fleshed out characters, and the kids were adorable, and the girls' relationship with the kids was adorable. And yeah, I really liked the story and how their relationship evolved. And if I had one thing to complain about, I'm not really complaining, but yeah, I would have loved if she got a chance to go back to her old job. Her old job was being like a rockette, and I would have loved if she did that, because in this story, it symbolized her independence, her freedom. I like that she still got to do what she loved, albeit in a different way in the book by the end. But yeah. The next one is Good Vibrations by Kaylee Loring. And I gave this book 3 stars. I was on the fence about it because the inner monologues were hilarious. It's about a single dad who bribes a theater director to cast his daughter in a play. I thought the concept was really funny. I knew that it was going to be funny, and it was. The first half of the book had really great potential, but the latter half, however, it sort of fizzled. The charm of the characters sort of tipped over to extremes. Miles, the male lead, sort of became petulant. The kid, she's a theater nerd, came off like a diva by the end, and was no longer. She sort of became that annoying, spoiled kid. And yeah. Another thing, Arya, the main character, she didn't say this exactly, but there were some parts in the book where the implication is that she is jealous of the child. And that's a big no-no for me. I've always thought that the single dad trope or the single parent trope, there's always this really big deal about making sure that the person you're starting a relationship with gets along with the kids first. That's the pattern that I've seen so far. But yeah, apparently not with this book, because she did imply that she was jealous of the kid, which I think is messed up, because the kid is always going to be priority number 1. You should know that in real life and in fiction. If you're going to be dating a single parent, the kid's gonna come first. This is known. Miles, the male lead, and Ari's relationship, it didn't really evolve beyond lust, attraction, that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, they did their time. They said their I love yous, they did their marital right, but those are milestones. And emotions-wise, it remained pretty shallow throughout the book and didn't really improve until the end, for me, personally. Now, let's move on to the DNFs. I have 3 for you guys. The first one is Carnal Urges by JT. I'm not going to try to pronounce the surname, but it's going to be over here. I stopped at 33%, and I'll tell you why. This is a mafia romance. This is not exactly what happened, but it kind of feels this way. They met and they had one very long conversation in one room, and it was this vicious cycle of him going in there and getting annoyed and then exiting and then repeat. The next one is Spotless, 47%. I stopped at 47%. I really tried my best, but the book was also trying its best to piss me off. This is by Camilla Monk, and I'm so sorry that I didn't like it, but it was not for me. He's a hitman, and he kidnaps her to get information about a diamond that he's looking for that was allegedly entrusted to the main character by her deceased mother. Was that concise enough? The book had a good mystery. I had some questions about the identity of the main character, but I found that it was not worth it to put up with everything because, first of all, Island and March, a type of landmass and a month of the year. March, the guy, the hitman, so he had OCD, right? And it's like OCD was assigned as his main personality trait. He was as dry as the stuffing inside an overcooked Thanksgiving turkey. I think the intended is that that's the source of amusement, but I wasn't amused because the way that OCD was discussed in the book was less than sensitive, and it's only brought up to be a source of humor, and I didn't like that. Other than that, he was so toxic. He was so insensitive. Honestly, I don't even think that he liked the MC because he constantly neglected her needs. Not even the needs that you're thinking about, just hygienic and survival food needs and stuff. I don't know, he was so mean. Once I was decided that I was going to let this go, I went back and looked at the reviews, and people wrote all of the things he was yet to do later in the book, and I just could not. This is 47%, halfway. At this point, they should at least like each other a little bit. And the only thing that I'm seeing is that the main character is showing very mild interest and slowly losing self-respect to cater to the whims of the hitman. And the hitman is just using it against her. It's so weird and so toxic. And I really couldn't get behind it. I would take the overprotective caveman male lead over this any day. I mean, I don't want to give too much away about this book, but there was a point where he let her go into a store in a jacket and nothing else. And the caveman would sooner bust a gut than let his love interest walk around in a store naked. Seriously. Is this a romance or what? It's non-existent. So yeah, basically, I didn't like it and I DNF'd it. Maybe I'll try again next time with a different work by this author, but I'm so sorry, I couldn't like it. The last one is Jock Bro by Sarah Nee, and I DNF'd this at 8%. Given how early I dropped it, I shouldn't even be commenting, but I'm going to break that rule because I'm so mad. What we're not going to do is put a grown-ass man on the cover and have the characters talking to each other as if they're in middle school. That's how it came off to me. They're supposed to be in college, I believe, in university. It was so odd. It was so strange to me. And I couldn't really... I mean, obviously it's not the cover model's fault. Sir, you had nothing to do with this. You're just doing your job. But yeah, I why? Why? That is the end of the rant. I hope you enjoyed this video or got some solid recommendations for your next read. Read Butcher and Blackbird, please. I will see you guys in the next video. And like, comment, subscribe if you want to. And I will see you next time. Bye!